Hey, what's going on, guys? We're getting everything dialed in, so I usually put the timestamps in the comment section. If you're listening to this later on YouTube, just skip to where that kiss up. I don't even have Dan on the line yet. I'll have him soon. Hey now. I got some people in the chat. What's up, Kristen?
Hello.
What's up, Dan Fields?
Can you hear me?
Unfortunately,
I've been having some serious internet problems.
but it's been skipping and shit.
Hey, does that sound better?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's been so slow, just ungodly slow. Which is shit because I do a speed test and it's pulling down 30, 40 megabeeps.
Yeah, mine's been having issues too, but we'll just record on our end and hope that we can hear each other.
Fucking Trump.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Trump.
Mm-hmm.
What's it called? Hey, so like 2 episodes ago, I couldn't use your file because you were typing a lot.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You were doing work or something like that during the recording.
All right, I'll try not to do that. It picked it up, really?
Yeah, it picked it up a lot. It was unusable.
God damn it. All right.
So if it's internet's cutting out between us, it'll suck to have to use that file.
Okay. Well,
I'm gonna be stuck between a rock and a
I
hard
won't type.
place.
Okay.
So
Hold on. Let me finish.
Your mic before you write.
No, I tried. I try not to unless it's something important. I don't remember what I was doing last week. I don't make a habit of it. It doesn't happen too often.
It was like 2 weeks ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You should have told me.
Yeah, I know. I forgot last week. Anyway, listeners have listened to this entire conversation while we're streaming this online.
Oh, have they? What's up?
What's up, peeps? KMO's in the chat. Wonder if English Paul's joining us. I don't hear you, Dan. Water. I still don't hear you. I hear you now. I just heard you breathing.
Ugh, I was sighing angrily.
Oh yeah, I heard that.
Hello?
I can hear you now. I can hear you now.
Okay, fuck. All right, I need to finish up this. I'm closing out as much as I can. How are you doing?
Too bad. Not too bad, my friend.
Good to hear.
You know, kicking ass and taking names.
Good.
About to
Good.
be new
All right, well,
Star Wars movie. Can't wait for that.
Yeah. No, it's exciting.
Can't believe it. I just remember when Revenge of the Sith came out, and we just thought this was the last Star Wars forever.
Yeah. Well, I didn't think that. I figured at some point they resurrect it.
I went to a screening of the movie The Room, a midnight screening on Saturday.
Yeah.
You know what The Room is, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Have you ever seen it, or have you just seen the highlights?
I have not. No.
But you've seen the highlights?
Yes.
Like the clips from it, like the really bad dialogue and the worst movie ever.
Right. That's real. Yes.
So the whole midnight screening, everyone was yelling the whole time, and in a couple scenes, people just were yelling out lines from Revenge of the Sith because they sound similar. The dialogue
is that bad.
Is similarly delivered, like when he was fighting with people, like out of nowhere, just from my point of view, the Jedi are evil.
It sounds funny. By the way, my speed test is finished, and it's like fucking 5 megabyte download or something. So I don't know what's going on.
So it's bad or good?
Bad. That's real slow. I mean, I think I paid for like 100 megabytes a second.
You have to get panoramic
so hopefully,
Wi-Fi.
I don't know what that is.
I don't know what it is either, but I just saw a commercial for it, and AT&T's really been pushing it. Anyway, I can. Well, a lot of times I'll connect to the Wi-Fi on my phone because it's just faster. But I think I'll do that now.
Yeah.
Because why not? Even though video streaming online, I hope that didn't suck up all my data, but I have a shitload of data.
Yeah, it might. A little bit, but you'll probably. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
I mean, you'll probably get an alert or something.
I'll try once and check. I have 22.
Oh, that's good. You got plenty. Yeah.
All right, hold on. It's
like watching
disconnect the call. It'll disconnect.
Okay. All right.
It might disconnect the chat too.
All right.
I haven't even watched a single episode of the second season.
Oh, it's great. I can't believe you haven't watched it yet.
Yeah, I know. I don't like binge watching a show. I don't like that way of viewing. I hate that nobody's watching it at the same speed, and it's just I'm like, there's no rush for me.
I hear you.
I guess there's no rush. I'm like, I'm not watching at the same speed as anybody anyway. So why do I have to jump on this right now? That's it anyway. All right. Let's.
I'm ready. Otherwise,
already started. All right.
Okay.
Oh, let's sync it up.
Start recording here. Okay. Go ahead.
1,
2.
Okay. There's a delay.
Can you hear me now? Hi, Dylan. This is Dan.
I heard my 1 come back to me a little bit.
Oh, from my ears? All right,
Yeah,
I'll
through
try
your
to.
end, and you said 2 right after it. There's a little bit of a delay. I'm just gonna see if it's so. When I'm finishing, I'm talking right now. When I'm finishing what I'm saying right now, say okay. As soon as I'm finished, I'm gonna finish right now.
Okay.
All right, it's a little bit of delay. All right, get started.
Okay.
Welcome to the Dead Inside Show. I'm Dylan Shuck, and I've read the Walking Dead graphic novels.
And I'm Dan Fields from Save It for the Show, and I have Walking Dead graphic novels.
In this podcast, we're discussing the 4th episode of the 8th season of AMC's original show, The Walking Dead.
In this show, we'll be analyzing the events from the most recent episode of The Walking Dead and comparing how they transpired in the graphic novels without any future spoilers.
And as always, big shout out to our Patreon supporters. If you want to be a supporter of the show, go to patreon.com/thewatchandtalk. And massive shout out to our premium supporters, Shakita June and Kaka. It's Shakita's birthday, too. So shout out to Shakita. I don't know if you're listening in the chat, but happy birthday, Shakita.
Wow. Happy birthday.
One of my other podcast co-hosts found that out on Twitter somehow. I don't know how he found that out, but he gave that shout out to us, too. Anyway. All right, so I'll say this right off the bat. I don't want to say really, but I will. I think I really like this episode.
Really? I'll say really.
Yeah.
About that. Really? Okay.
I think there's obviously a little to complain about, and I will, especially about firefights in this episode, or just like ridiculous, but. This movie had several moments that got a reaction out of me that wasn't a sigh or a, oh my God, this is awful. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it got reactions out of me.
Sure.
I'll talk about, I might as well just mention them right now. One is the battle axe kill from Jerry.
Yes.
I don't think anybody watched that and didn't go, whoa, or holy shit.
Yeah, really.
We'll talk about that when we get to it. And then obviously Shiva's death at the end. Even if you don't care about the tiger so much, you still care about it through his eyes, because of if you ask me, it's pretty decent acting from Carrie Payton. That's
very
Carrie
good
Payton, not to be confused with Gary Payton. And 90s. Anyway, let's get into some feedback first. First of all, we had almost gave a desperate plea for a podcast review. And sometimes you got to remember to be careful what you wish for. Dan Fields. Be careful sometimes.
We get some rude ones?
Rude is an understatement. We got some good ones though. So I might as well just read them all. And I just want people to listen to this and think about how you would feel about reading these words about yourself. And consider who this person is that did that. Anyway, so this was about one of our shortest episodes, kind of a rushed episode we did last week too, which was episode 803, Monsters episode review. So they're just doing a review of just that episode, apparently. The content was so-so. You basically regurgitated the entire episode. You gave no accompanying tidbits or interesting factoids while you regaled us with your quote-unquote retelling, so meh to you. And then an eye-rolling emoji. Next, Dylan, you can be quite annoying. You have an absurd cadence when you speak, and you over-pontificate every detail way too much. Dan, on the other hand, is more fluid, funny, and definitely more succinct when he talks The Walking Dead.
Oh, boy.
FYI,
so good one
Dylan,
for me.
FYI, Dylan, know better, do better. That is a review from SFOQ. Eat 10 kinds of dicks, SFOQ. And thank you for your review. Next one I like a lot better. It's from Cheap Trick Roadie Trucker. And it says, best after show. And it says, this show distinguishes itself because the hosts give their opinions and it's not just about how perfect each episode is. I think that's also an understatement, perhaps. It feels sincerely like it would be if my friends got together to talk about the show. which is what we're going for. Thank you, Cheap
Nice.
Trick Roadie Trucker. Much better. And then this other one
Agreed.
is by Hag1246, and the subject is Downers.
Hag. Ooh.
Although I agree that the show has declined, maybe you shouldn't do an after show if you really, really dislike the content. You're the opposite of Chris Hardwick. He's annoying for loving it too much, and y'all are annoying for hating it too much. Can there be a fine in between? Horrible, horrible after show. That's from Hag. Really putting the
Ouch.
Hag in your screen name. Fair enough.
Okay.
I this I can take much better than that other dickhead. Get fucked. But anyway, so yeah, we've been really mean on the show, especially this season. And I feel like we're not going to be particularly as mean. I feel like, especially because I personally like the episode, and if more episodes were like this, I think that we would have nicer things. But it's impossible for us not to sit here and say what we think about the show. That's the whole purpose of the podcast. I can't pretend to not be happy, and I can't pretend to get to explain why it's bad every time I see something that's bad. I feel like that's better than me just saying the show sucks.
People don't want to hear that anyways.
What'd you say?
I said people don't want to hear us just suck the show's dick either. It's
right.
It's hard because we're not the only people out there that think the show has sort of lacked the past couple of seasons, but we could try a little better, maybe to be a little more positive. Fine, here we go. We'll try.
Yeah. But and again, most of the people listening to a podcast are going to be fans of the show. So I understand that we're probably reaching out to a group of people that like the show, but we're hearing from a ton of people that stopped watching the show and still listen to the podcast, or are just as upset about the process. Most feedback we hear from the show right now is negative. But I think that again, I think if more episodes were like this, I think this is. I don't want to say return to its roots, but it felt a lot like The Walking Dead that we liked this episode, particularly with the walkers being a threat, which hasn't been happening for 3 episodes prior. It's back to the horror element in a lot of ways too. Something.
Yeah, I agree.
Hey,
big time horrors.
Let me hang up this call and call again because it is a long delay. It's a big delay.
It's maybe bad. Okay, should I go as far as you want to? Let me restart my computer.
Your computer,
maybe that'll help too.
Your router.
I just restarted my router before the call, so let me hit a quick reset on my computer too. I'll be right back.
Okay, why not? All right. All right. In the meantime, I'm gonna sit and hang out with you guys. Yeah, Rootster Ghoul. Yes. Imagine how that felt to read that. I was like, oh, okay. Well, that feels good. And kind of walked away. But that being said, I have read many bad reviews about myself, so I have become decent. But man, attacking my cadence? Low blow attacking my cadence. Yeah, that's what I think. I think I would have gotten rid of the people that were on target, but I don't know. Maybe I think this person, if somebody tuned in just for the 3rd episode review, which was we did a short one. I think it was only like 45 minutes long. We kind of rushed through it. I would die. Thank you, Jessica. I appreciate you guys for. Yeah, it's not really easy to shut your mouth when you're frustrated with something and you can explain why. I've even done a podcast with somebody who didn't like something and couldn't articulate it, just said it sucks, and that's frustrating. That is frustrating. Like that's even frustrating for me when I liked it, and then I'm explaining why it's good, and then they're like sitting there just being like, yeah, it sucks. Okay, well, moving on to the next point. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I don't listen to any Walking Dead podcasts, but I feel like if I did, I would be frustrated and I would want to hear them. I feel like I'm putting out the content out. That being said, that last one, I I could see being very frustrated with like for instance, I liked the last season of House of Cards, which actually is probably ended up being literally the last season of House of Cards. And then I went into its Reddit page, and if I said anything positive, I'd just get clobbered, like downvoted, like everybody. I was like, what the hell? Like I liked the season, like I thought it was good, and it's just not accepted in that community.
Hello.
Hi.
That better?
Well, we'll find out. Let's do the 1-2 thing.
All right, I'm gonna
One.
restart. Hold on a second. Shit. Hold on, sorry. It wasn't recording and then it fucked up.
So you're gonna have two.
Okay, there we go.
Files now, right?
Yeah, it has to.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
1,
2.
Okay.
Seem okay?
Still a delay, but that's bad.
Okay. God damn it.
All right, let's go over a couple additional things. So, English Paul pointed out, sent some screen grabs of the Judith in the flash forward from the season premiere. Was holding a stuffed bunny that Gracie had in her crib.
Yeah, wow. I was surprised by that.
So, the implication is that the Judith we saw in the flash forward might not have been Judith. It might have been Gracie.
Now, I will say this. They never do say her name, and it's not uncommon at all for kids to share. But, you know, a lot of times little kids, too, like an older brother will give a younger sister a blankie or a dolly or a hand-me-down. So I wouldn't go as far as to say that's like a smoking gun, that Judith is either dead or gone. But it could at least show that Gracie is being raised by Rick.
Right. We'll see how that goes. Kristen sent in an email. No one's mentioned on the show yet, and this is something I hadn't even noticed. But I really like the clear, clean, simple solution of wearing armbands to establish who's who during the battle. It's interesting that the Kingdom's people have red armbands, and the Hilltop and Alexandria crew wear white bands. But again, I like how they answered the audience question of how the hell are they going to keep each other straight during battle.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know why Hilltop, Alexandria, and Kingdom all wouldn't wear the same armband and color arm. Like they're going to be attacking each other.
I mean, it's like a Letterman's jacket for their high school, I guess. So they could say, "Oh yeah, you're from the Hilltop, okay, Kingdom over here, brother." But I see what you're saying. I do agree.
But yeah, they're taking taking pride in their team.
Right.
So that makes sense. All right, let's get into the episode. Episode title is "Some Guy."
Yeah,
that's obviously what Ezekiel refers to himself as. You know, I think it's obviously a weird episode title, but I will say this: it's memorable. I never forgot the episode title, and I'm like, what was the episode title again? Oh yeah, Monsters. So like when I'm preparing the notes and preparing the episode and putting the episode out and all that kind of stuff, I have to type in the episode title a couple times, and a lot of times I forget and have to keep looking it back up, and didn't forget this one.
Well, if you're like me, which I'm sure you are, that you, whenever you see a show and you say, "Oh, some guy," you try to think ahead, like, okay, what's this going to be relating to? And in this case, it's almost impossible, but oftentimes with the show, it is a bit of a hint. And then you have other shows like, do you watch Mr. Robot? I don't think you do you?
No, I gave it like a shot like 2 times, and I know everybody says it's the most amazing show in the world. It just didn't grab me in the first couple episodes.
First season was amazing. Second season was okay. This season is fantastic. In fact, just not to dovetail here or tangent. Last episode was 50 minutes, real time, one shot. And of course it was faked, with like transitions, but it really was meant to be. Yeah, but man, it was incredible. So anyhow, the names of those episodes are like file names because it's like a bit of a hacker show.
Yeah.
This is a very long way of me saying that show doesn't mean shit when it comes to the file name half the time.
Same thing
And this
as
show,
24.
paid it off.
24's episode titles were 1 p.m. to 2 p.m.
Right. So yes, it was nice for it to pay it off though in this one. That was a nice nugget.
And by the way, people, if you hear us referring to somebody in the chats, because we stream these episodes live on YouTube, so if you go and subscribe to the Watch and Talk on YouTube, you can set it to get a notification on your phone every time we go live. We usually go live around midday Pacific Standard Time on Mondays. Anyway, all right, so we left off last episode with, oh no, King Ezekiel's probably dead.
Right.
That's where we left off. And then we get this weird kind of flashback where we see Ezekiel getting ready. Seems like he dreads his hair with no effort. Is it very
good? And his little feather that he threw in there too.
I think it would take more time to be dreading his hair, but
I'd said the same thing to my wife. I said, geez, boy, his routine, it must take a ton of work. And she said, honestly, it probably doesn't. Like once it gets going at this point, it's on maintenance at this. So I don't know.
Has she ever dreaded her hair?
No. I was going to say, all the dreads that she's had.
I know we have somebody in the chat that does dread their hair that could probably answer this question a little bit. So hopefully they'll chime in here pretty soon. But so is it already dreaded? Yeah, he says I have to do nothing to my dreads, so I guess that answers the question. Okay. But it showed like him like putting something in his hand and
some oil or something.
Some oil. So I guess he's just re-oiling it or whatever, putting extra oil.
And his beard. You have to do a lot of maintenance. I had a beard once and it was a freaking nightmare. You have to oil it and brush it, and it was a pain in the ass. So maybe that's what he was doing. But the thing I got the impression, I did have my yard that I only made it for 6 months and then I shamefully cut it off. But the one thing I did get the feeling of is he doesn't do this a lot. Like they don't battle and go into, and he's so stoic and idealistic about, here we are, we're going on the battle. Like when he started monologuing again, at first I thought, Jesus Christ, like how many times is this show going to give us this pep rally, we're going to get the bad guy speeches? But I think it did a good job of showing all the people in the town, sending their wives, their fathers, their brothers. And it's again, this is a pretty peaceful colony. And so this is a big deal for them to kind of go to war.
Yeah. And, I will say this too. If I never heard Ezekiel say, and yet I smile again the rest of my life, I could die.
Oh my God, I know. It was too much. Too much.
But yeah, but at least that speech was way more powerful than the speeches from the premiere for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that.
The speeches of Rick and, we've already won!
Yeah.
We can't lose because we've already won! Like, I don't see how that would be... Anyway... but
Carol's face. Carol's face is us. Like I feel like the look on her face is kind of like, okay, babe, this is nice. Go ahead, do your little speech, and I'm just gonna sit here with my weird, wistful smile on my face.
And everyone's saying goodbye to their families, which is important for that final scene.
Mm-hmm.
Because it seems like the entire army from the kingdom was wiped out.
Oh yeah, real fast.
So, and then we have that powerful "We Are One" chant with the bird's eye view, and then it transitions from them all cheering together to them dogpiled on his.
Yeah.
And then we get another situation where we are confused on the speed that people are reanimated on the show.
Right. Once again, yeah.
And then he finds a dead body of Daniel, who was once his that blonde guy who was one of his right-hand man, and then him bellowing out. And I love the way this was edited too. Before he screams, they show a bunch of jump cuts of all the death and gore around them. And I thought that it was, especially because I was so poignantly attacking the editing last week. I thought the editing was major step up in this. And editing is not typically something that even I call to attention on I'm watching. But there was a huge difference between some of the really shoddy editing that happened last week. Anyway, so they
On
also
the
are
pacing, I
reanimating.
mean, the
Oh, what were you
pacing
saying?
too. Like the editing really makes the pacing of the show, and especially this opening scene where, like you said, who knows when they're going to reanimate. It felt good and fast, and you wondered, where's Carol? Where's Jerry? Like they didn't show Jerry's body, so I
Right.
assumed that he was either turned and ran or not dead. So, but yeah,
Also,
um,
what the hell
that-
did he do? Where did he
right.
go?
He
Did
was
he just
taking a
run
shit.
away and leave his king
I know, right?
that he said he
Yeah.
will never do? But yeah, but here's the thing: when they do start reanimating, all the surrounding walkers reanimate at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, I don't
whatever the
understand
time
it.
period is in that scene, they all are sunk up on it. Anyway, so
You know, I'm
anyway,
sorry. I don't want not to be stupid here, but you're right. Like, let's say one of these zombies, you die, you reanimate as a zombie. Like, until the other corpses are reanimated as zombies, they're fresh meat. And if one
yeah,
zombie wakes up next to another zombie, he should start eating it immediately
right.
until that zombie becomes a
But that's
zombie.
like
At which
never
point,
shown in any zombie movies or
I
anything. But
know
I completely agree that they should turn and start eating the one that hasn't reanimated next to them immediately. But yeah, I
until he
completely.
turns, and then
That's
he
like
has a
one of the
mouthful.
big. Yeah, then he's just like, wait, I don't want to eat you anymore.
Right.
Let's
Right.
let's go eat together. But yeah, anyway, then him bellowing out, I think, was really effective. And I think pretty good acting. This was his time to shine, and this is one of those character-centric episodes that really worked for me.
Well, what happened to his leg? Because it looked like it was hurt and bleeding,
It
which would have
seems like he
meant like
got
a
hurt,
gunshot,
right?
but
And I think
not.
he took a bullet. I think he took a bullet.
You
It
think so?
didn't
Because those
really complete.
bullets, maybe shrapnel or
Something.
something. Because yeah, his leg would have been gone if a bullet had hit it.
Yeah,
So
they weren't 100% clear on that. If anybody in the chat is more clear on this than the air, I wasn't sure, and I went and I took online to see what happened, and nobody had any clear answers. So I was like, okay, so it seems that I didn't miss. Um,
he's
people have
fine. He,
responded. I think he broke his leg or was shot in the leg when he got tackled, and they opened fire on the kingdom with.
see, I don't even think he broke his leg because he was able to walk on it. If the bone was
Right.
broken, that's just done. So
Yeah.
who knows? Maybe it was a bad flesh wound. By next episode, it'll be forgotten. I presume. Maybe he'll just sort of favor it a little bit, but he's fine.
So so anyway, somebody comes in. So he starts sliding away because he has trouble walking.
Hmm.
When they start reanimating, which is a scary situation to be in.
Right.
And then somebody comes and saves him and says, "Your Majesty," and he continues to tell him to go without him. There's too many, yada yada. And again, walkers are a major threat in this episode, which is something I appreciated. That was felt.
Hmm. Well, and not just turned walkers, but those are fresh zombies. So they're strong, they're healthy. They're not like the decomposed radioactive zombies that they later found in that ditch. I mean, these are. If you were wrestling with one of these zombies, I think they could probably take you because they have their normal strength plus their bloodlust.
I mean, they
It'd be
couldn't
tough.
take me, but I understand they could probably take a normal person. Yeah, I'm
Probably take you.
skilled fighter. Skilled fighter.
Probably, probably take you from behind, but no, not like
I see
that.
what you did there. So anyway, Carol's creeping through wherever the fuck she is, and this is wonderfully shot. There's a bunch of really cool scenes, like the hallway with the flickering light, and then a close up on the leaky faucet, and it all looks really good, and it adds this creepy vibe that I think the show goes away from sometimes. And then she ends up hiding in the ceiling, and they come back with the creative ammo, and then she lights them all up with them.
Yeah, she sure got up there fast.
And what does she do that I complained that wasn't happening last episode?
What, reloads?
No, double taps.
Oh, yeah.
She actually goes and double taps, which makes sense as to why everybody would do that. I feel like they used to do that in the show too. After somebody died, they would have to go and stab them in the head to make sure they didn't turn.
Right. That was important.
It's incredibly important.
Right.
But,
yeah.
I think Chris had pointed out the double tapping in an email too to you. So then more people come in and she has to run. And there's just this big capture the flag back and forth with these guns and the ammo in this episode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. And they're heavy and they're big, and somehow they end up getting them out.
So Ezekiel and the guy he's with, unnamed guy he's with, they start walking. He asks about Shiva, and he doesn't know where he is. And they run to a big crowd of walkers, and then out of nowhere, the dude is suddenly shot dead. And then we meet this random fuck.
This computer nerd.
This guy seems like one of the Trailer Park Boys, or like a villain from Unsolved Mysteries.
Seriously, or like some alt-right piece of shit, like weirdo.
He also, I don't know if you agree with this, but he also gave me like a really like a strong, real Dan Fields vibe.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, kind of like
thank you.
Kind of like his cadence and the way he flowed nicely when talking about The Walking Dead.
Oh, sorry.
No,
I know.
Yeah,
maybe they'll do a good review about it then.
Yeah, he gave a real strong Dan Fields vibe. Oh yeah, somebody, English Paul in the chat, just brought up the garbage people. What even happened? What's going to happen with them? Are we going to see them again?
Oh, you mean from the junkyard?
Yes.
Yeah, well, they betrayed Rick, and now where are they?
They're like,
yeah.
we want this, that. He said that this dude that captured Ezekiel was the worst character that's ever been on the show. I disagree because I like Dan Field. But other people can write in and see what they say. Somebody else, I don't remember who, so sorry, I'm not giving you credit, but somebody else said that he gave a Ace Ventura vibe to him, and I could see that. I just don't understand why he needs to be wearing the Robert Durst glasses.
The glasses, I mean, this guy was clearly like a suppressed virgin type guy too. He was so angry, but I think he's an important part of Negan's army because this is exactly who Negan wants, is people like this who are sociopaths, psychopaths to begin with. And they did something which I think was good. They also did this with Morales, is they see Rick as the bad guy, the king, the widow, Rick. Like Negan's done a good job of mystifying them to his people in order to get them to fight. And, this guy
has a big issue with the fact that they're all psycho and turning against each other and they're just bad guys. That's really prefer the idea that they think that Rick and them are the bad guys.
Right.
But instead, so it's just like with this guy. This guy is clearly a serial killer. And we have the other guy who his friend gets taken hostage and he's like, light him up.
I know, right? He did it. He punched his ticket. Get him.
Yeah. He punched his ticket. Light him up. Like,
right.
So here's the thing. They have been removed from society for a long time. And Rick has perhaps done a better job at keeping his crew with a moral compass. Mm-hmm. But in general, we haven't seen many of the saviors dealing with the morality of something. Being like, oh, well, I'm not a bad person. These are the bad guys. I'm doing the right thing. I'm a good person. And then they're just being led incorrectly by Negan, who's clearly a bad guy, but keeps it from some of his guys. I think that's way more exciting of a story to be telling rather than just look at, he just found this cache of evil people. But it might be, there might be something to the fact that Rick has been a leader that has kind of helped keep everybody's moral compass in the right direction. And if you don't have that, perhaps it takes you in the opposite direction.
Yeah, no, it's top down.
It just doesn't feel right to me. So I don't know. If it could be, there could be something to that, but I just don't think they're nuancing it at all. I think they're just like, look at these evil people and look at how good all of our people.
Well, and you know what? You're totally right.
Good.
I'm sorry, I'm stepping on you. I think you're 100% right. And if Dwight's the only guy there who has sort of now had enough, that's not enough. I almost wish, and maybe there will be some sort of like mutiny where at some point it's Negan, it's Rick, and then enough people come forward from Negan's side to say enough's enough, man. We're the bad guys, and we didn't realize it. Now we do. We're done. We're out, and maybe that'll still happen.
Yeah, like, or have people just be like, Negan made me do this, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, we see a little of that, and then the guy ended up just lying to them and pretending to pee his pants.
Right.
And he's like, he's gonna kill that bitch wife of yours or whatever, you know, we're gonna kill your baby. It's like, what? Like, you were a real person 2 years ago, and now that you've had 2 years of, you know, being out of society, you want babies to be killed. It's like,
right.
I don't know.
And you know, Ezekiel does hint to that. I think he refers to some of them as like victims of circumstance, where maybe they didn't want to end up here, but they're surviving by pretending to be bad. And then there's just bad pieces of shit too that deserve to die.
Yeah. Also, other than Dwight, we also had Sherry, Dwight's wife too, who was really, you know, a part of that story, that these people are following him that are just intimidated by him and feel like that there's no other option. I also like the idea that they are following Negan because they thought that was the only option to survive.
Right.
Was to follow somebody like that. I just think this is an interesting angle they could be taking that I hope that they do, you know, start working on a little bit more, rather than that just a collection of every, he went into you know, every federal prison and unleashed all of the high value prisoners,
right.
which is what it seems like he did now.
Yeah, seriously.
So anyway, I do have to say too, when this guy did shoot the guy, how he just, you know, takes a bullet out of nowhere and drops. It was a shocking moment. It was surprising, even though I think we all figured that guy was a goner at some point, especially because we didn't know who he was.
Right.
I don't even think we've seen him before. But anyway, so when Carol's after she, you know, kills all those guys with the machine gun, with her AK-47, that she hid into the ceiling, which is kind of odd that she just went from being there to jumping the ceiling. Just a quick second, didn't show her climbing up and doing it or anything like that. But whatever, it's not that. You know.
Sure.
So she has to run, from them, and obviously back and forth. So the Ace Ventura guy says he's taking them to the sanctuary, and then we get the confirmation finally that first place that we saw attacked in episode 1 was the sanctuary.
Yeah,
and he said
seriously.
The gates are down, the dead are in and can't get out, and we can't get in. And he has plans to bring the big guns over there to mow it down. It also seems like he wants the reward of killing all those walkers and going with the high value target of the king.
Right. That'd be a huge win.
Score points.
There's not much bigger trophy short of Rick, right, or Maggie, and so I don't blame him for wanting to bring him home alive. But it's the look on his face too, like he has his teeth clenched like constantly. He's like, "Arr!" And he's creepy, like just a bizarre character, like almost too villainous for his own good. Like he should be twiddling a mustache, and I don't know, like that. He just was odd out of nowhere.
Too much 80s serial killer vibe, or early 90s serial killer vibe. That's why I say he reminds me the most of somebody from Unsolved Mysteries.
Right.
When I used to watch Unsolved Mysteries as a kid. But it was also important that we heard Morales explain that he, Rick, and Maggie were supposed to. And that's why they killed them right off the bat. That ended up coming into. So Ezekiel collapses on the way, and he's like, "You're just gonna lie down now?" And he's like, "I'd rather be dead, you know, I'd rather meet my end by the dead rather than a desperate, meaningless foot soldier. Does Negan even know your name?" And he's like, that tries to mess with this guy's like sense of importance, and it does not work at all. Seemingly, he says, "I'm Negan." Line that has spread throughout the sanctuary. Clearly, that they all say a lot, and you know, that was an important call.
Yeah, and then he gets some,
sense of it.
and then then he gets some monologuing, which is like the, I don't know, you get the villain in James Bond to tell us his plan, not pay attention. He rubbed blood, his own blood, on Ezekiel's face. I mean, it was just, it's too much.
Doesn't seem to even react to his own stabbing. Although it
Right.
seemed like he was just going to collapse from it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny that they both try to mess with each other's heads, and Ezekiel's attempt to mess with his head does not work at all. But he is able to get into Ezekiel's head completely and utterly.
Yeah, he was about to give up.
Makes him lose even more confidence as a leader. Just screws with him about how he played his people, and then he says that it's a meaningless con man in a costume.
Yeah, he knew. It really got cut to his core.
So Carol has a little shootout with the guys holding the gun, and it's more than a little insane that they waste all their bullets just shooting a truck that she's hiding behind.
Right. Just nonstop.
Also, bullets completely go through cars like butter.
Mhm.
Like, don't we remember what happened to Tupac?
Right, exactly, yeah.
Are all
Maybe
these
not like
cars
butter,
bulletproof?
but yeah, at least something.
The a car door barely will slow down a bullet.
Mhm.
I mean, I think you get caught in an engine, and not but a lot of the bullets, like from 50 cal, they should go through an engine even.
Sure, I don't know.
Through the door of a car. But she kind of was hiding behind the engine of the front part of it. But in general, bullets. Remember, they had all those in the first episode. They had the cars with all those metal panels attached to it. It's because they wanted to make it bulletproof. But then it turns out they didn't need to do that.
Right, because cars are good enough apparently.
Yeah, it seems like it. Then Carol pretends to surrender, which we never obviously was. We've seen her playing people by playing the innocent person so many times that we never thought for a second that she was surrendering. But still, it was a big risk that she came and showed herself.
Yeah, oh yeah, big time.
But she really banked that she's saying that she can tell them where the others are, would be enough to spare her life.
Mm-hmm.
And then Ezekiel gets a stab on the creepy Dan Fields dude, and and then then they start getting surrounded by walkers, and he's like, "The dead are upon us. Give me my sword, and we can fight them together." And he's like, "Nah." He's like, "I think that a head on a pike is going to be better than. Obviously, I'm not going to be able to get you there alive, so whatever." And then again. Why would you say this to somebody you're about to kill?
Right. Just do it.
Just do it. Right? And we also find out they wanted them alive to have them chained to the sanctuary fence.
Yeah, that's rough.
So he goes to kill them, and then Jared comes from behind, and arguably the coolest kill we've had in like over a season.
Yeah.
The way they shot it is something we've never seen on the show. It was grotesque.
That's perfect.
And no one, I guarantee you, nobody watching didn't have somewhat of reaction when that happened.
Oh, big reaction.
Yeah, and just from behind, all of a sudden, a split down the side of the center of him, and that was just an awesome way to show somebody get split in two. And that's the problem we've been having is we've been watching this and just not caring about anything. And that was even though we didn't really give that many shits about the guy, it was just a cool death to see, especially from Jerry.
You know what it was too? Where's my Kung Lao Mortal Kombat 2 fans out there? Fatality. Anybody remember that? Where he was like a Shaolin monk dude, and he had a hat that was like a razor blades, and that was his fatality. Is he would slice the guy completely in half. There's 10 people listening to the podcast right now who are saying, "Hell yeah!"
Loving it. They're just loving
that. Now. But that's what it is, and that's the first thing I thought of. Because in Mortal Kombat 2, when he broke apart, you saw their bones. It was grisly, and like you said too, when he did it, and then the king was laying there on the ground, it was awesome.
So awesome. I also, in general, just thank God that Jerry is still alive.
Oh God, I know.
Because he is full blown Hurley mode in this episode.
Yeah.
Anybody that watched Lost Yeah, there's nothing that separates him from Hurley right now, except for he's just a little more. He's a little better with an axe than Hurley is.
Right, dude, bro. I mean, it's
Yeah.
exactly Hurley.
He's like, Your Majesty. He's like, you don't need to call me that. He's like, dude, yes, I do. And
Right.
then he tries to break into the fence, but then he breaks his battle axe. What?
Yeah.
Anyway,
I know.
whatever.
He can split a body in half. I
He
mean,
might have already.
hold on
It
a
might
second.
have already been weakened. It might have already been weakened. But anyway, then they start
Listen,
getting surrounded.
Hold on a second. Has anyone on Earth listening ever cut a chicken breast or a piece of raw meat? Like, it's not easy. You have to usually use a very sharp knife to slice through meat. Meanwhile, his battle axe, which of course is heavy, I get it, it just churned through the pervy dude like nothing. And it would have absolutely destroyed that lock or that piece of chain link. Like, give me a break. But yes, it broke. Maybe it broke on the guy. Maybe that was the final thing that made it brittle and break. But that stuff like that can get a little frustrating. But whatever, it is what it is.
Then we get the most Hurley line ever. Thank you, Your Majesty, for what? For being such a cool dude.
Yeah.
That was a big line in the trailer also.
Oh boy. Yeah.
Yeah, so Carol pretends to surrender, but then takes the guy hostage, and they're like, "Light him up, boys!" Another Lost reference like that, huh?
Is that from Lost?
Yeah, with the end of when they first encounter with the others. Light him up, boys, and all those. Anyway, whatever.
Okay.
And then, again, I mean, I don't need to go into it. I just to see them portray each other so easily, there's no moral conflict here. Even though we've seen our guys pretty evilly murdering people, including Daryl. So it shows it's showing that there's if it wants to show there's some moral ambiguity between our groups, like that's more interesting. Why not show, hey, what's the difference between us? Right? There isn't much of a difference between us. Look what we do. Look what they do. But instead, it's showing that they will turn on each other and betray each other, and that they want to kill babies.
Seriously.
So then Carol hides out while they shoot at her, and just as walkers start creeping up from behind them and start eating some of the guys, and so they start being a little pinned down, and then Carol comes out and says, "After all those walkers, you probably only have 3 or 4 bullets left."
Mm-hmm.
She predicts how many in their AK-47s, how many bullets they have left. She was counting the shots.
Right. Seriously. And they don't have clips. I guess she could tell that too. They've got nothing to reload with.
First of all, that's quite a calculation. Second of all, that's enough to kill her twice.
Yeah, for reals.
And she was just out there without any cover. But whatever. Then she sees Ezekiel and Jerry fighting, and she decides to go after them. And we get a little bit of a flashback, and Carol and Ezekiel talk about who they were before the apocalypse. And they kind of bond over the fact that they both were similar people before the apocalypse and then made a decision to change during the apocalypse.
And as far as we know, Carol is the only person, maybe other than Jerry or who else, I don't know, that knows the truth, that Ezekiel was a zookeeper, etc. And I think you're right. I think that's good. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, a lot of what they've done is show, especially with Jerry's making this very clear, is when he says, "You don't need to call me that," he says, "Yes, I do." What he's saying is, yeah, we know that you were putting on a performance for us, but it drove us. Like, that kept us going.
Yes.
And that was enough for us. That helped us go along. So, yeah, you're not the king. You're not an actual king by blood, but what you've done is inspired us and kept us going. Like, I wouldn't be in the situation that I am. I might have already been dead right now if I didn't have that to latch on to.
Yeah,
and I think completely. That's interesting.
I agree. That is, see, that's nuanced and it's real, and that's what makes them better to identify with and more interesting. Whereas, like you said, the saviors just seem to be evil pieces of shit.
And then, Carol says, "I decided just like you, but life decided some things." And then Carol goes to, I think the main thing she was referencing there is Sophia.
Yeah.
Right? Or one of the main things she was referencing. So Carol goes to save Jerry and Ezekiel, and then the Savers escape with the guns. And Ezekiel said they're going to go take the gun back to the sanctuary, but Carol, hearing Daryl's motorcycle, says they're not getting back to the sanctuary.
Yeah, that which was cool. A fun little segue.
But where were they? What was what? But
yeah, what did they do? Where were they just at?
They were just left. There ready to go after them with the gun, and they knew they had the gun with them. Fine, whatever. It's just like, I don't know why this season's struggling so much and letting us know where people are. Everything's so scattered. But
they left,
definitely
right?
Not the biggest crime at all.
No, it's fine. Daryl shot that guy in cold blood after Rick told them that they moved the weapons.
Right.
So that's where they
happened to get back right then.
Well, yeah. I mean, okay. The coincidence was, silly, but they were on their way there.
Yeah, they were on their way back, and they got back right.
Right.
It ended up being perfect timing. I'm not saying that's.
Gotcha. Yes, of course.
In the middle of a battle, there's going to be perfect timing that happens. It just happens. Right. So we get some pretty good teamwork with Rick setting a screen for Daryl.
Yeah.
And then they get the gun, and after Rick did that jump from truck to truck action. Again, I think that Rick would have been torn apart. It's also really weird that the engine got shot and started spewing out steam, and then after he
like a cartoon, like Steamboat Willie, and again those you saw those bodies. Those bullets were so big they would have destroyed that little Jeep.
We need Eddie to be writing and telling us about the bullets in here, because it seems to me like the people working on the show don't know anything about ammo.
Yeah, right.
I saw a lot of people talking online about some of the guns they've used indoors. How if you don't have something covering your ear, it would be like you would lose your hearing immediately.
Right. Oh, of course. Your guns are loud as shit.
Especially using it indoor like that.
Yeah, these Browning 50 caliber guns, I only know them from playing like Call of Duty. They're like a turret gun that you just mow down infantry with, because the bullets are like 5-6 inches long, I think. So
and
whatever.
At that speed, it can literally decapitate you.
Right. Yeah. Whatever. So yeah, he zooms out of the way, and there's Mr. Daryl, just with the perfect shot.
They're shooting at him. Okay, look, you're shooting at this guy. Hey, this guy's trying to kill us. I have this turret. So let me shoot at him. Oh, I hit this bullet. I hit his engine a couple times. Well, now I'm going to stop firing and let the dude behind him shoot at me.
Right.
I just don't think he would have stopped firing. I think he would have kept firing, and Daryl would have been ripped apart. But fine.
These are weird guns too, though. I think they're the kind of guns that the bullets are like they're like chained together, and they're usually in like a box. It's not like a clip. Like, you put God, listen to this. This is like a vegetarian talking about cooking a steak right now. But there's a gun and a clip, and the big bullets go in the gun. Whatever, who cares? He shot him, and then Rick zoomed up and jumped in.
And then he action rolled out before the truck flipped, and they finally got the guns. And he said, let's go see if this asshole's alive. So it seems like they're going to be interrogating that, Jack Bauer style.
Oh, you took it that way? I took it as them having to put him down. But yeah, that makes a lot more sense.
Well,
to interrogate it.
Either way, the guy's not going to be alive for long.
No, he will not. Nope.
Carol, Ezekiel, and Jerry travel along the train tracks, and there's just a ton of walkers, man.
Yeah.
And Ezekiel, well, it makes sense after all this killing that's been happening the last 3 episodes. It makes sense, especially with nobody double tapping anybody. Then
that's
Ezekiel continues to feel like he's slowing them down. And then they arrive on some sort of ravine with like bog walkers. And it looks like there's some type of chemical spill, and it's labeled dangerous substance.
Right. Dun, dun, dun.
That's what it's labeled. Dangerous substance. So he yells at them to go on without him. So I guess what they insinuated is they had to cross this to continue.
Right.
It didn't look like it. They had to cross it.
Right? Yeah, it was kind of weird. It was hard to tell.
Like a pit, not a canyon.
Right. Not very big. Not a big deal.
They could have walked around it, but whatever. I guess they wanted us to at least wanted to give across the impression that they.
And I'm not surprised that there were a lot of walkers down there because it's a moat and they walk and they fall down there. They don't have the mental capacity
Right,
to
to get out.
climb,
Right.
really. Yeah, and unless I guess maybe it was World War Z or something, but the only way they could climb out is if so many came in that they could climb up
Climb on
off each
top of
other.
each other.
But yeah, there wasn't even close to that amount of many, so whatever.
So he yells at them to go without him again. And
Right.
Varys is like, can't leave you, your majesty. And he goes, yes, you can. He's like, you're my king. And he goes, no, I'm not. I'm not your king. And then he kind of looks around. And he says, I'm no king. I'm just some guy. And right then, Shiva arrives.
Yeah.
She mauls a couple walkers, then gets surrounded. And the scene for me was heartbreaking. A lot of people complained that it wasn't enough walkers to hold down a tiger.
Yeah.
I agree.
would
They
agree
could
with
have shown a couple more walkers, but the scene completely worked for me. It just takes getting bitten by one, and I don't know. I could see this many walkers, whatever the case may be, after getting a couple bites in. She could be mauling them, but she can't do anything to the ones behind her, and they get a couple bites in, and then she starts suffering, and I could see it working. I just think the show easily could have solved this by just doubling the amount of walkers.
Okay, here's my problem with this is yes, it needed to be doubled because when I don't know who it was, Ezekiel, I think, shot at them with the assault rifle, their heads were exploding like mushrooms, like they were just mush. And I think at some point these bodies would be decomposing from this quote unquote dangerous substance where their bones just wouldn't work. And they as objects, they would not be able to shamble around because Shiva could have just like swiped at them and it would have been just like decomposing, like just crushing them. And then when she was getting bit, my wife said, "Oh my God, now she's going to be a zombie tiger." And I said, no, I for whatever reason animals don't turn. And she said, no, I remember there was like a zombie horse in one episode. And I said, no, you're thinking of Game of Thrones. And she's like, oh yeah, you're right. So no, it is funny though that they're not animal zombies in this world for whatever reason.
Yeah, because the bite isn't what affects you. You're already infected, and the bite just kills you.
Right.
But yes, they don't. This is not transferred. It's not like Resident Evil.
Exactly.
But that would be scary. But at least
Very
I don't have
scary.
to worry about the budget for the CGI tiger anymore.
That's true.
But either way, the scene was heartbreaking. For me,
It was
I felt
sad.
something. I felt sad. I feel like there's a lot of characters right now I wouldn't even be sad if they died. Even characters from the beginning of the show. I just feel like I don't know what more I can do with them. And there's a lot of characters I wouldn't be surprised at. I think the last real shocking death, other than obviously Glenn getting hit after I thought he was safe because of Abraham getting killed, was probably Beth. That was the last real shocking death that I just didn't expect.
I was pretty shocked at Beth in Slaptown, correct. But you know what?
Your reaction didn't show a bunch of shock.
No, well, I'm just because I'm a robot monster and nothing elicits thing from me. But one thing about Shiva though is this is now the second time she's come out of nowhere and saved the day. So she almost had to die this time because they already did that once. She died very valiantly, and it was just kind of a bummer though because
this is also important for Ezekiel's character arc. Is the ideas, and this is a part of the graphic novel, is he just lost all of his men in front of him and saw his tiger eat in front of him. So this is big for him as a character, part of his.
Yeah.
That he's not gonna be the same king that he was before, after leading all his men to their deaths.
Right. But after any good loss, any sports team will tell you this, or any show, you come back stronger, right? And I'm sure he will.
And so then they ride back to the kingdom, and having lost a lot of people, most of the people there are speed. And he walks past them. Then we see Jerry, who's always such the nice guy, and he's broken down, covered in gore. And we see Carol looking pretty unaffected to me.
Yeah, well, these aren't her people. She's lost a lot, but that's not her people per se.
But nothing she saw right now really shook her to her core.
Right. She was probably pretty bummed out about Shiva, though.
Anyway, that wraps up the episode.
Wow, just
I
like
thought it was a
that.
good episode. I thought it was a good episode. Looks like next episode, usually don't like to talk about future episodes, but I couldn't help it, even though I try to skip the trailers. I saw the opening frame of it, and it's Father Gabriel. I hope it's not just Father Gabriel next episode. My God. Just
I
Father
don't think
Gabriel
so.
and Negan. I wouldn't put it past them.
I don't think so. I think that we'll get some Rick for sure. But, you know, what you said about this episode feeling like an older one, though, I do agree in that, like you said, there was the tension that the show hasn't had in a while where there was danger and who's going to die, what's happening, going around corners. There was actually some stuff to give you a feeling other than a speech and this and a confusion and who's going where. So, yeah, I mean, I felt good. If we had to give it a grade letter, I'd probably give it like a C plus, or maybe a B minus.
B plus.
Oh, would you? Okay, well that's fine.
As opposed to the D territory.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't spend most of this episode complaining, so I'm proud of myself.
Yeah, a small victory. Good for you.
Want to get to the segments?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, for those of you that know, the segments we go over are kind of our awards. I always do that. Our awards for the episode. And we'll get started with the first one, which is the worst decision. You go first on this one? You go first.
You go ahead, buddy. It's your day. You go first.
No, you go first.
Okay, fine. My worst decision was the way that Shiva died. I'm mad that the show had Shiva die, and I get it. Like you said, it's important for his character arc. Like he's kind of hit rock bottom at this point, and he doesn't even have the tiger. But I just liked having it. Like I've said this on the show a bunch, where I wish there was like a dog master. Like I feel like there should be animals in the show more, and it was fun having Shiva around.
A dog could really come in handy.
It totally could come in handy for sniffing out walkers, people. Like Daryl should have a dog, even though Daryl is kind of like a dog on the show because he's supernatural and hunts and whatever. But it's a bummer to lose it.
And he's shaggy,
like you said,
like a shaggy dog.
Very shaggy, doesn't talk a lot. He eats dog food. Right? Yep. He's got a taste for dog food now. And so, anyways, it was a fun character to have on the show. And like you said, I was a little more sad about it dying because she was cool and interesting. And it wasn't a bad thing that she did. I'm just bummed out the show.
I don't think they wasted the death. I think the death was a powerful.
It was. I'm sad to see her go. Maybe you should do a eulogy for Shiva like you used to do.
Yeah, I used to do that. I thought about that too. And then I was like, nah.
Hmm.
My worst decision, actually submitted by listener Kristen, going down into the creek, complete with a toxic sludge, with a bunch of melting skin zombies, low on ammo, with a wounded gimpy guy that's questioning his.
Yeah, that was stupid.
I think that's well said. I just wish that all that needed to do was show that there was no other option besides going across this, which they tried to, but they didn't do a good enough job of letting us understand that was doing.
Correct.
Let's get the next one, which is the best kill. I mean, there's only one option.
I mean, listen, yeah, don't even do it this week.
Right.
Shiva dying, of course. No, Jerry, of course. Jerry.
No, it's the guys from when Carol killed them from the ceiling.
Oh, yeah, and they danced in the hallway. They did like the assault rifle gunshot dance. The other guy did that too when Carol was holding him hostage. And she pushed him off, and he did that. I'm
being shot by all these bullets.
I'm riddled.
The realistic shot was that guy that was shot by the creepy Dan Fields.
Oh yeah, through the belly.
Dropped down. That was a realistic person getting shot with a gun.
Right, or at least he should have moved forward a little bit. Like I just got kicked in the back.
Right.
But yeah, that was a pretty cool shot.
Obviously, is Jerry splitting the dude in half with him.
I mean, that was like blue balls for 2 years. You see that battle axe and you want to see it in action, and we finally really got to see it really put to the test in action.
And just before its death.
Yeah, R.I.P. battle axe.
Getting the next one, which is the best line of the week. Best line.
What you got? What's your favorite line?
Got a couple. when he was talking to when Ezekiel was talking to Carol, and he said, "If you're asked to be a hero, be the hero."
Yeah. That was mine. That was my favorite one too.
I did have another backup one too, though. Your Majesty, he says, "You don't need to call me that." And
yeah, those were good. I also wrote down my honorable was, let's go see if this asshole's still alive, which I thought was funny only because, like, I feel like a lot of times when him and Rick are doing things, it's like a game to them, or they're so good at it, like we've talked about this precision porn or whatever we call it, that they make it seem easy and almost kind of fun the way they make this. Like he jumped from his
competence porn. You're saying
competence porn, yeah, not precision porn. That would be like putting a
type of porn.
right. But the way, he jumped from his freaking Jeep to the other Jeep, like all of a sudden it becomes Die Hard action movie.
Indiana Jones.
Right, exactly. But I don't know, it's funny to me. I wrote it down.
The next one is the prediction of the week.
Yeah.
Why don't we just leave your prediction be the only prediction this week? I feel like we're in complete graphic novel territory, I guess. One prediction I'll say is that next episode is going to be just Negan and Father Gabriel.
Well, I can tell you it won't be because I saw not Trevor, what's his name? The guy from Grand Theft Auto. Yeah, what's his name in the show? Shit, I can't think of it. Yeah, me too. But he'll be in it. He was in the trailer too. I still think Ezekiel's gonna die. Like I still feel like we need to see some major people get clipped before the end of the midseason. And now that he's sort of redeemed himself, he's hit rock bottom, he's coming back, his tiger's dead, his people have died. I still think we're at a point where he will redeem himself, and maybe he'll be the one to like sacrifice himself. But I still think Ezekiel dying should happen and could happen, and that's my prediction so far.
His character's name is Simon.
Simon, that's right.
English Paul helped out in the chat, even though I did some IMDbing in the meantime, but didn't want to interrupt you. In that amount of time, English Paul chimed in with the answer, so I had to give him credit. So
thank you, English Paul.
Did my own research, English Paul. Just kidding. Appreciate you. Let's get into the next one. Oh wait, was that your? Oh, was that your prediction?
Yeah, I predict Ezekiel's going to die at some point this season. Yeah.
Getting the last one, which is the tweet of the week. So this was written in by Jessica, also listening to the chat. So shout out to you, Jessica, longtime listener. Said, I think this show started losing me because they stopped telling stories about individual characters. It's all about the collective want and desire of the group, and all individuals automatically want the same thing. Which I think was really well said. I think this was written in before the most recent episode. Maybe I'm wrong. Because this did show different things. This showed different motivations as far as, I don't know about motivations, but different things going on with Ezekiel, which I think is why it was the best episode. But I agree, when everybody just wants the same thing, and we don't even know where people are, they're just kind of randomly scattered about wherever, doing whatever, and it's not really clear. It's boring. Because how are we supposed to be rooting for somebody to do something? We don't even know what the hell they're doing.
Right. Like, what's Michonne doing right now? Like, she's not even in this season, for crying out loud.
Pretty much, yeah.
And Carl, like all these characters that we've spent 8 years getting to know.
We got a lot of Carl in the first episode.
Yeah, you're right. Man, that seems like a year ago. But a lot of these other characters, I guess they're just on the sidelines right now.
Well, either way, thank you, Jessica, for tweeting us in. If anybody ever wants to send us in tweets after the episode airs, we can discuss it.
Yeah, please do.
It's at Dead Inside Show. Kristen brought up the fact, where's Morgan? And she threw out the prediction also in an email that she had sent that he's out dealing with some clearing situation somewhere, going crazy. Possibility.
Is he going to be comment at the last minute?
We haven't seen Morgan in this episode. Same thing with Tara and Jesus also. So they could all be doing. Who knows?
I think they're still at the hilltop, but
dealing with the prisoners.
Right. Morgan, though, is probably just wandering the earth, and it would be kind of annoying if he showed up at the end to sort of like save the day because he had a realization and Rick, I'm back and whatever. Like,
right.
Like, just don't even save him for next half season or something
Right.
at this point. Like, don't have him come save the day at the very last minute when all seems lost. And here comes Morgan.
All right. Let us wrap this up once again. If anybody wants to go and help cover up some of those shitty reviews with more nice reviews, feel free. We'll read them at the start of the next episode. And why don't you tell people about your show? Save it for the show.
Save it for the show. SaveItForTheShow.com. It's a great show, comedy show. My brother-in-law Eddie and I, we tell each other bad stories and make each other laugh, and it's a grand old time.
What the last episode title was?
Oh, it's called Cat Come because it's about my cat getting neutered, and I wish I had some of his cum to sell and send to my listeners. So it's fun. Just listen to the goddamn thing.
Yeah, guys, you gotta listen to it for the context of the conversation. It's somehow less weird in the context. No, it's not. But yeah, where can people follow you on the internet too?
Follow me at Dan the Beast or at Sift Show on Twitter.
For me, you can follow me at Shuckster, SCHUCKSTR. The Watch and Talk, my movie review podcast. Last week we just reviewed Murder on the Orient Express, and this upcoming weekend we're going to be reviewing the new Justice League movie, which is probably going to be dog shit. So check that out. We have fun top 5 lists before and something you don't want to miss. So check that out at thewatchandtalk.com. We do, like I said, we do non-spoiler reviews of the movie. So if you haven't seen it, you can still listen, and then there's a spoiler section at the end you can listen. Yeah. For this show, you can follow us at Dead Inside Show. You can go to our Facebook, facebook.com/thewatchandtalk. Email us deadsideshow@gmail.com, or you can go to deadinsideshow.com. And that's it. I'm Dylan Shuck.
And I'm Dan Fields.
And we'll see you next week.
All right, big guy.
All right, partner.
Let me send these your way.
Chat. Love you guys. You guys are the best.
Yeah, thank you, everybody.
Best fans of the week. Best fans of the... All right, Dan, I'll talk to you next week.
All right, my man. Take care.
All right.
Bye, guys.